Hello everyone, how you doing? Is my camera super uncentered? Oh no, and it's auto-focusing as well. I hate this. I hope you're doing well though. This is my first stream that I'm doing since coming back from Hawaii, which was really cool. And I'm a little bit frazzled, a little bit out of it, but I think that's kind of par for the course at this point. Hey there, Base to Oblivion. Hey there, Tomorrow. Hey there, Trixon. Hey there, Zithia. Oh, thank you for the sub, Zith. Thank you. And thanks for the hydrate, Trixon. Oh, god damn it. Okay. Ears are not staying off for very long. Okay. Yes, I do read early chat. Just give me 1 sec. Alright, let me pull up the ears timer, I guess. I also gotta fix the auto-focusing camera. I don't know why it does this. Like, I have focusing off. Okay, there we go. Let's grab a timer. 1 hour timer. Yeah, that's started. Now, where's my... That's the text that says ears timer, and this is the window capture. Then I just need to crop it into the right spot. Because it's just kind of like... there we go. Okay. What are we seeing? Okay. Hey there, Block36. Hey there, Archie. Oh, thank you for the sub, Archie. Archie says, cat face. Hello there from VR. I finally bought it. Setting up is a hassle, though. Will there be a Zephyr VR? Are you watching the stream in VR right now? Because that's kind of crazy. I would love to have, like, the ability to at least view the game in VR. I don't know how much, like, VR-specific interaction I want to support. I'm intentionally building the command system very generally, so, like, controls and stuff can be controlled from, like, touchscreen inputs or controllers or keyboards. So, like, hypothetically it could work, but I don't know how that would interact with, like, stuff like GUIs and stuff. It's not something that I'm against. It's just not something that I've really researched hard into seeing how complicated it would be to set up. Hold on, I'm going to swap over to YouTube chat here really quick. Hope you read the early chat. Yes, I do. I was wondering if you planned on implementing a quest system using a dependency-directed acyclic graph. So my graph theory is pretty rusty. I took graph theory 2-3 years ago in university, and I haven't really caught up with it. But I'm not planning on having like a hugely complex quest system in this engine, although I do, or in this game, although I do have like a narrative that I want to present that does involve story beats. So like, from my understanding of that sort of acyclic graph, I think that might be something that I pursue. I don't know if I'm going to do it very graph theory though, or if I'm just going to kind of scrap shit together, because when a system's small enough, you don't really need to do it right, I guess. But I might. Experimenting with activation of dependents using expressions that check with dependencies are complete, so you can do something like and dep1, dep2, or dep3, dep4. Oh, so you're kind of creating your own domain-specific language for representing multiple states? Or like checking states. So it's kind of similar to what I'm doing with the counter system with the structures, where they have like string expressions which determine their eligibility that are parsed by the engine. So that's cool. What up, how was your trip? Is it better to watch this on Twitch or YouTube for future streams? Either or. I mean, if you're on Twitch, then you can do like the channel point stuff, but if you're on YouTube, I think you get less ads. Twitch is very restrictive about the ad controls that I can actually set up, and you know, YouTube ad block works. I shouldn't be incentivizing my audience to block the ads that give me money, but here I am. It's not like I don't do it myself. So, you know, I guess whatever you want to do. It's super simple to implement, believe it or not. So, like, you could have quests that complete and activate other quests to begin. Yeah, that is effectively what I want. Like, the game is going to be a sandbox game, but there's going to be multiple events that occur when you either interact with something or create something or, you know, otherwise do something or find something that should instigate other plot beats. And there's also, like, delays and stuff that I want to trigger. Like, there's a lot of things that are going to kind of gradually occur. Like, you do one quest beat, it doesn't immediately respond to you, but then, like, you know, 10 minutes later in the game you get a transmission or something, sort of Subnautica style. So it'll be interesting to see how best to represent that. YouTube Advanced is a lifesaver. Yeah, it really is. I mean, of course, as a law-abiding and YouTube terms of service abiding citizen, I would never encourage anyone to use cracked YouTube clients. But, you know, things like that certainly seem very useful to certain subsets of people that want to use them. You can use Dancing Ari, Join the Dark Side, use Twitch. I'm pretty sure we have at least some of the emotes on the YouTube membership as well, although they let me put on less, so I don't know if there's a Dancing Ari. If someone's not using adblock by now, I don't think a creator mentioning adblock changes that. That is true, you know. I'm not actually particularly worried about it. It's just, you know, something that I think is kind of ironic and funny. It's not against the law, just their terms of use. I know, but I am a loyal abider of their terms of use because I'm in the partner program. I would never, ever do anything that was against YouTube's terms of use. Are they still here? Okay, yeah, you could do that with a dependency graph. You could have a node that activates and repeats until a timer completes, or a node that completes and then activates other nodes. Yeah, I guess if I wanted to, I could make a dependency graph for like a quest, and then have it trigger another quest, which is just like has a starting function that calls a timer, and then it completes automatically when that timer expires, which then triggers the next quest. Is that sane or is that stupid? I don't know. It sounds sane to me. But yeah, so I guess, what are we doing here? So last time, I think it was last time, it was several weeks ago, so who really knows, we got the tree generation to actually be happening on the MapGen side, which is a surprisingly good accomplishment, because for a long time the structure system has only ever been implemented in JavaScript. Like if I go structure generate Zeus path, did I type generate wrong? Hold on, structure generate Zeus path. Zeus path X. There we go. So that generated a structure. And said structure was generated by JavaScript. All of this is like mod code. And this is like a proof of concept algorithm that we want the engine to use, but it wasn't implemented at all in JavaScript, or in C++. But now we have very basic structure generation that is working on C++. It's super restrictive. It only has, it only handles individual static structures. There's no rotation or randomness or subparts or anything. And that is what we want to work on today, is actually adding them back. And also, if we get the chance, I'd like to tackle this issue with the trees kind of getting a little bit cut off. That's not great. Yeah, I for a long time, I've been thinking about how the hell to fix that. Like, you can see that it happens a lot on vertical chunk boundaries, which looks extra gross. Like, that entire area is all stumps because the trees are on a chunk boundary. I've been thinking about how to handle this a lot. A very long time ago, when I first started working on the engine, I basically had it so that structures could spread over top, or like spread outside of the generation region into unfilled chunks. And then they would be stored until that chunk ends up getting generated, and then it would superimpose the partial data onto the fully generated chunk. But that created a really weird set of like priorities, where effectively the structure would ignore all constraints in those unfilled chunks because it would like treat them all as if they were just air, which meant that like leaves could carve into stone and stuff. And it was also just really messy because I had to either save the chunk partials to the like file system, or I'd end up with non-deterministic MapGen. So I ended up coming up, or I didn't come up with a system. I saw something on YouTube that I'm adapting. If I knew where the original video was, I would show it. I might see if I can link it in the description of this stream VOD. But basically they were talking about handling map generation as a gather operation instead of a scatter operation. So instead of treating structure gen as like, this is the origin, and it's going to spread out wherever it wants to go, including into unfilled chunks, it should instead be treated as this is a gather operation, where whenever a chunk is generated, it checks all the potential spots that structures could spawn outside of itself while still influencing it, and then it will generate those structures even if they aren't within the chunk, and only include the blocks that should be within it. So like, you know, this tree spawned in this chunk and is cut off, and then it would be this chunk up here's responsibility to check below it to see if there would be any tree that could potentially enter this chunk, and if so, it generates that tree and keeps the top part so that it actually gets filled up. And we can do this in a relatively simple way, where we effectively just have it so that the map generator, which currently generates in chunks of 4x4x4 chunks, will also partially generate one extra chunk in each positive axis. So then, we're generating a 5x5x5 region, and then those remaining chunks are only generated up to the point of structure generation, and then we, copy the structure blocks over. And that should prevent the seams by allowing basically any structure to bleed over by one chunk amount, and then not any more than that. But there's also a lot of performance concerns with that, like the fact that, if we go from 4x4x4 to 5x5x5, we go from 64 chunks being generated to 125. So it becomes very useful to cache some of that information, right? Like if we can cache information about the noise parameters, and then use that when we're actually trying to generate those chunks that are over the border, that would be very, very helpful. And we kind of have to do that in a weird opportunistic way because the map gen handles on multiple threads, right? So we can't do a thread synced cache, that would be too slow. Or, I don't know, maybe we could. Like, if it's just setting and getting to a shared hash map, that might be viable. But either way, we can't assume that the cache has any data to help assist with the chunk gen. But if it does, then we want to use it instead of doing it ourselves, because that's work that's already been done that would otherwise have to be redone, because it wasn't actually for the chunk region that we're generating now. I don't know if that makes much sense. Please ask me questions if you have any questions. But I'm gonna quickly read chat. Oh god damn it, more ears. Okay, I see how it is. 149. There we go. I hope you're happy. You could do that with the depends. Okay, the way I was going to do it was have a swap buffer where I am processing the requests in one buffer, then the requeuing repeat events in the back buffer, and swap for the next frame. Oh, so you're talking like have it process every frame. Interesting. If I were to do it, none of my quests are particularly like time sensitive immediately. Like they're not going to have like timers or states that's constantly updating. So I'd probably keep it as just like it refreshes when I prompt it to, which would happen when a quest gets completed. Or like when the game starts or something, or when the user enters an area that prompts the quest to update. But that does make sense if you're doing like a much more like live updating quests system. Hey there, Smarty, how you doing? I am back. It's been a couple weeks. I went to Hawaii. It was really nice. Very warm. I got sunburnt. I went into a cave. I don't know. It was really neat. But yes, now I'm back, and I'm back in Canada, and weirdly enough, it's like 10 degrees warmer than when I left. It was like around 1 degree Celsius around here when I left last time, and now it's 10 degrees Celsius on average, and it's like, okay, well, it's been like 2 weeks, and now it's starting to feel like spring. Which I don't know if I'm complaining about, because it's nice to have the weather be warmer, but it's also like not warm enough to wear a t-shirt. So it's kind of like in this ugly in-between where you're too hot if you wear a sweater and too cold if you wear summer wear. And I don't really have any good clothes that are in the middle of that, so I'm just kind of sticking it out. Spring can be comfy when spring gets warmer, but this is like bad cold spring. This is like winter spring. You'd be checking the conditions for the quests every frame, so if there might be 3 quests active, and if those conditions are met, their dependency quests activate. That makes sense to me. I just, my quests don't need to be checked every frame. They can just be checked on demand. It is really cool to see actual trees in this environment. Like, this is the most boring version of map gen possible, given that it's one structure repeated over and over and over again. But, going from those stupid little pillar trees that we've had for actual years to having, like, real multi-block trees is really satisfying, surprisingly. You can wear, like, turtlenecks with, like, comfy vests and fluffy scarves. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess I just don't own any of those. I don't have any clothes like that. Maybe I should. That would solve all my problems. What am I doing? I'm kind of just wandering around. So, I guess, like, something that makes sense would probably be to start by adding the structure, like the substructure system. So, if we want to make, like, a really, really simple structure, or I swear I already did this. Did I create a structure last time that had more pieces? Like, hold on. Zeus tree. Huh. Biome. Tree. Where is my tree structure? Okay, it is in world edit. Okay. Cool. So let's try something here. Oh, yes. Okay. I remember what the issue was. So, if we want to support structure attachments, we need to be able to know what structures can potentially match constraints. And so in the world edit implementation of the map generator, or of the structure generator, it actually loads, where is it? Maybe it's in structure, no? Maybe I deleted it or something. Oh, no, wait, structure's here. Structures.push files, yeah. So when we call generate, we read every single structure file in the structures directory. And then we, push all of them into a list. And then we query that list of structures when we want to be able to figure out what structure should attach to what other structure. But that's a very JavaScript solution. It's just copying all of these as JSON. And it's also just not, actually working. Like, it won't work in C++ as is. If we go to the mapgen file in C++, when we generate a structure here, let's see. We don't currently look at the attachment points at all, I don't think. Fixture. We roll source fixtures, but we don't actually check any of the, yeah, we don't check any of the children, right? This recurse down structure children, it just doesn't exist. And that is a problem. Because if we want to make it right, then we need to know all the structures. But we don't want to just, like, search the file folder. Like, the folder thing is just a stupid hack to make it work, right? What we actually want to do is have, like, a structure atlas that maintains all the structures. Like, most of the code in Zephyr is handled using atlases. So we have, like, item, which is an item atlas, which has, like, add and bind and get and, etc. And then we have a decoration atlas, which lists all of the decorations that exist, which are effectively just structures plus mapgen parameters. So the idea is that a decoration is a structure combined with information about where it should be placed. So for example, this tree decoration is a tree structure placed on grass. Section length is just basically at what granularity it queries this noise parameter, where the noise parameter is a const chance of this magnitude. And then it's got tags, right? But right now, for actually defining the structure, we just go structure.create, which creates a structure object, which can then be passed into C++ just fine. But it's not actually being stored anywhere. There's no registry that we can then query all of the structures in C++ from. It's just an object itself. Like if I go over to the Decoration Atlas interface, and we look at structure, you can see that we cast in and grab the actual structure. It's a shared pointer of a structure. And then we just put it into the decoration atlas. We don't have a structure atlas anywhere that we're querying. We're just grabbing the structure directly. So to fix that, I guess what we probably want to do is have a similar thing where we have a structure atlas where we go add Zeus default tree, and then we just put the file name Zeus tree structure JSON, and then then over here, instead of doing a structure.create, we just go like Zeus default tree, right? It works. Although, didn't we have a weird thing? Yes, spaghetti code. Didn't we have a weird thing where we were actually, I feel like we were talking, this was weeks ago, and so now I'm struggling. But I'm pretty sure we were talking about not having identifiers for structures, weren't we? Like, we were just talking about having tags. And I guess that works. I didn't realize how much I missed that music, those typing sounds, and the structure rambles. Totally not about evolution. That was a fun conversation. I had a lot of fun with that. It was a stupid conversation, but it was fun. Okay, so... Oh, God, wait, hold on. Okay, no, okay. I thought there was another ears redeem, but it was an old one. Okay. Yeah, so... My problem with having the structures have their own atlas is that, oh, damn you, Trixton. Hold on. It's weird that you can't, like, just edit this number arbitrarily. You have to, like, enter it from scratch. Okay, there we go. This is now officially going till the end of the stream, so it is not worth redeeming anymore, jeez. You ask and you may receive. Okay, so my problem with making it so that the structures have their own atlas is that typically, like, the atlases currently work by having an identifier. And the identifier is going to be unique, right? Like, you can't have more than one identifier. Or more than one thing with the same identifier. And so what happens if, you know, I create it like this? Actually, before I do this, let me commit primitive structure generation on C++ side. May as well commit this now before I break everything. Okay, so problem. If we create a structure here, and we go, this is my Zeus default tree. And then we add a decoration here, where the structure is also Zeus default tree, where this is referring to the structure definition, so this one. Then we end up in a weird spot, where what if I want to be a mod and add another tree, where I go like Zeus default tree 2, and then I go like, I don't know, mod tree.json. Now I can't add it to this decoration list, because it just has like this single tree here. Cat ears. Yeah, cat ears. People are bribing me with channel points. So, my issue with this is I don't actually know how to fix it. So I think last time we were talking about making it so that there is not an actual identifier that we can use. So like, you know, we would, instead of having it have like an identifier, it would just be like a tags list. So like, you know, you can say like Zeus default tree, and then you can also do that on this one. And now they've got the same tag, and look at that, it just works. But then, you know, that creates a weird situation where it's hard to uniquely identify any of these structures. And so maybe the thing is like, okay, maybe we want like Ari my mod tree as an identifier, but then we only allow you to query by the tags. So like, you know, you can pull a structure out like this, or like Ari my mod tree, and that'll give you this specific one. But when the decorations are being defined, this has to be a tag or a set of tags. So like, you know, structures. I could see that working. But then VS Code has a UI for committing? Right, I've never even thought about it. I assumed everyone just worked with the Git command line and learned all the tags. I know a little bit about the Git command line. I've used it before. I really don't like it. I'm a fake developer. I'm sorry. It's just... I don't like having to work with command line tools that are not immediately obvious with what they're actually telling you to do. Git has a ton of, like, tags and options and switches that are just, like, single letters or really obscure names, and it's like, I just want to be able to see what's changed, enter a commit message, and then not have to think about it. Oh, looks like I already had a C++ structure generation. Then what did this do? What did I change here, like, actually? I don't care enough to find out. If you can't directly use the ID string, does it matter if it's a string or that the developer even knows its value? Good question. I don't know. Maybe not? Well, okay, the only reason that I'm... So... Okay. If you can't use the ID string, does it matter if it's a string or that the developer knows its value? I guess the reason that I'd want you to be able to specify and retrieve an ID string directly is because even if your generation can't specify a single identifier, you should still be able to pull a singular structure out of the registry, and the ID is then your only unique identifier for it. I mean, technically though, all registries in Zephyr are kind of weird, because they either support an identifier that's a string, or they support a number, which is actually the index and it's auto-assigned for the length of a game, right? And so, I guess we could, so like, I guess just to explain real quick, this is identical to just getting Zeus default dirt. Like, if we have the dirt definition and we get its index, we can get itself from there. So if we wanted to, we could just store this, you know, and then we don't have to worry about specifying an identifier at all. And then we just end up with tags. And then at that point, like, you know, it's kind of arbitrary. Why is this freaking out? Tags would be like this, and then path would be like this. And then you're just, you know, creating a structure and then storing its index, and then you can just go, my tree is that. And then if you want it later, you can go structure.get my tree, because it's an integer, right? But that means that it's effectively impossible to get other mods' structure definitions, because the integer index for, like, this is only provided to you when you call structure.add, which would only be happening in the mod itself. So, I don't know. It's weird. Like, having an identifier is useful for looking up a structure from another mod. But it's also... Yeah, I think that makes sense. But then it also muddies the waters, because if we have, like, identifier Zeus default tree, then duplicating it in the tags list is weird because you want to use it there. We could make it so the tags list automatically has, like, identifier in it, Zeus default tree, right? And that would solve the problem, because then you can keep doing this, and it's like you're referencing the identifier, but you're actually referencing the tag, which means that other mods can go ahead and go like structure.add identifier REMyMod tree, and then tags Zeus default tree. And now, you know, you've got the best of both worlds, question mark, where, like, you can add another thing that will be matched by this string, but you've also got a unique identifier which must be unique. But then it's really unintuitive that, you know, this is a tag, because this looks like an identifier. You haven't specified it as a tag anywhere. It's not clear that this will actually make anything that's matching on this match on it as well. It's just really unintuitive. But like maybe that's okay. Like maybe it's okay that it's unintuitive because this is just intrinsically an unintuitive system. I'm not sure. Do you think that this system works? Like, so we have my tree, and then we have, you know, get Zeus default tree, or like structure dot get tag Zeus default tree, which returns both, you know. And then when you're adding decorations, this is a tag list. Identifier could be multi-dimensional. Array, tree. Identifier could be a multi-dimensional array. What do you mean? Like, I'm trying to think of what that would solve. I think this is okay. I don't hate this. I don't really like it, but I don't hate it. The other thing that bugs me, though, you love snake case, wish it was as storage efficient as camel case. Huh. It's weird to imagine if you really wanted to, you could create a custom character encoding where instead of like capital S's being in the encoding, it was an underscore followed by a lowercase s, and then you have like the same storage cost for snake case. But yeah, I'm very picky about my cases. I like both of them, but like in different spots. I like snake case for files. I like camel case for anything that's actually like a code entity, like an object or a variable or whatever. Well, at that point, you could just write a string converter. Fair enough. Okay, so my brain is telling me that this system is what I'm gonna go with. Hey, I just joined. What's the issue? We're currently trying to figure out how to make the structure system extensible by mods without like fucking everything up. So I guess quick overview. Structures are basically just like schematics. They contain like a set of blocks, and they can optionally reference other child structures to kind of like spawn off of them. And they need to be added to a registry so that the map generator knows they exist. That's what this would be doing, where it's adding a structure with an identifier and then a path to the actual file, which, you know, stores the structure. Then we're also making it so that these structures can generate on MapGen, and those are called decorations. They're effectively just an identifiable set of generation parameters that says, okay, these are the structures this decoration can generate, these are the blocks it can be placed on, and then a bunch of noise parameters, right? And so, but our concern, or my concern, I suppose, is that if I allow you to say, oh, I want this specific structure identifier to be used for this decoration, so just this Zeus default tree structure here, then mods can't go in and add, say, their own tree, and then also have it generate with the regular trees, right? Am I super overthinking this? Like, because if a mod really wants to add its own tree, can it not just go like decoration.get Zeus default tree structures push re my mod tree? I guess that's kind of complicated then, because like the structures can contain substructures that can also reference Zeus default tree, right? So trying to do it recursively is going to be really messy. Can't you allow a mod to add its structure to an already existing decoration identifier? So that's kind of what we're like. So this is one way of doing that, right? But then again, like that creates the issue where, you know, structures can have attachments which are other identifiers, and then you'd have to recursively go and look through all the structures and find any instances of Zeus default tree and then update them. But maybe the better way to do it would be to make it so that the structures can't refer to identifiers. It can only refer to tags. And so the tags list is not unique. It automatically gets the identifier in it, so this would automatically get Zeus default tree in it. And then by putting the tag Zeus default tree in the other mod's tree, it is now always eligible to be placed whenever Zeus default tree is placed. Actually, hold on. There's also like a groups system that the blocks use. Where is that? Ah, yeah, okay. I did write this code. That kind of bothers me. It sounds like the easiest way would be to generate a config keeping track of all of the models with a comment like put a 1 here for tree, put 2 for this tree. That might be the easiest way to do it, but I need this to be like entirely configurable. Like, it doesn't really work if, you know, we're making assumptions that I have to do something, because I want games that I've had no involvement in to work on, or to work with this. And I think the biggest thing, the most important thing, is I don't want developers to be able to have the option to prevent other people from extending their content. So, like, there's a distinction between, by default, saying, okay, all this is going to apply to is my stuff, and if somebody messes with it, that's on them. And then them going, okay, I'm going to straight up not allow this to happen. So, like, for example, I'm creating this tree here. I could set the tag to just the word tree, and then at that point, if I put tree here, then any tree tag tree is going to be in there. Or I could set the tag to Zeus default tree, and then at that point, you know, realistically, unless somebody is going to specifically try to add their own structure with the same tag, we're only ever going to get this tree, right? But then, because it's tag-based, this structure still has the option to say, hey, I also want to spawn when a tree is being generated. And I like that because, like, mod developers shouldn't have to anticipate the needs or desires of other developers that want to work with their mod, right? Like, it shouldn't be an opt-in thing to make your system extensible to mods. That's kind of the whole point of this engine, is that, like, anything is extensible. And so if I allow you to create APIs that are, or if I create APIs that allow people to create, like, dead-end content, where, you know, you can't extend it anymore because of how it was defined, then it kind of screws everything up, right? Sorry, I fucked with the volume. I should have fucked with it on my earbuds. Hey there, Darksoon, how you doing? That's hard to think about code I didn't write and such. I have to make so many assumptions that can lead to a lot of results that you already know it's not going to work. Yeah, that makes sense. It's one of those things where, like, it's kind of rubber duckying, but I do appreciate, like, the food for thought as well, you know, because sometimes people say things that I haven't thought about before, etc. Unrelated, but what does static mean in your identifiers? So this isn't an identifier, this is actually a file path. The engine supports its own file path spec, which basically is a scope followed by a mod identifier followed by a directory in the mod. And there are 3 scopes that are permitted. If I go to path file.ts, yeah. If I go to path, there's 3 scopes. There's static, game, and world. Static is for mod static data. It allows it to be read but not written to. Game is effectively the same as static, but it allows writing. So it's effectively a per mod, per game directory that files can be read to or written from. And then world is one level deeper than that. It's read-write, but it is per world, per mod, per game. And so it's just choosing a different directory. And then the actual mods implement it by, like, for example, the world edit mod in its manifest says that its assets path is res, and I believe that's also what static refers to. There might actually be the option to specify static, but you can see that, like, it says assets is res, and you can see the structures exist in here. And if we go back here, you can see it's static, Sorry, those aren't actually their real paths. I think it's RA world edit. Where did I actually put this? I guess I just purged it. But like if I go static RA world edit structure blah blah blah, then it goes into RA world edit res and structures blah blah blah. Can I maybe ask how many people are over on the Twitch? Maybe also tell the Twitch peeps how many YouTube people. There are currently 16 YouTube viewers and 19 Twitch viewers, which is a total of 35 people. Yes, 35 people. No, this project's unfortunately not open source. I love open source software. I wish that I could make it be that, but I also one day want to sell this game and make a living developing it, and that's incredibly hard to do when you make your software free. You know, if I eventually get post-scarcity, I'd love to make it open source, but at this point it's not particularly feasible for me. Okay, so I like this tag thing. Moreover, I like the idea of instead of having tags here, having groups. The distinction between tags and groups is that groups actually have a value associated with them. So if I go to like my nodes here, if you take a look at groups, they kind of look like tags, but let's find one that does it differently. Yeah, you can also specify it as a tuple of a group name and a value, which can be any positive integer, which I guess actually should probably be able to be a float. But specifically for blocks, this group value means nothing intrinsically, but can be queried. But if we do it for structures, we can actually encode the weight in the groups. So say, let's just say the default group value is like 1 here. And then we go, okay, we're gonna make this tree 0.01 value. So it still matches this group. So this would still be able to spawn it, but now it has a value associated with it, which could be its rarity. So then when we're computing which structure to generate, we'd probably add like these two together. This one implicitly has a value of 1. You could potentially override it if you wanted to by actually including it in your groups list, right? And then this one has a 0.01, which means there's a total of 1.01 weight. And then you go 0.01 over 1.01 is like, I don't know, 0.00999, whatever. And that is your percentage chance to spawn it, which is, you know, approximately 1% chance by doing this. Which means that when you're adding new structures via mod, you can decide how common they are relative to other structures that already match this tag. I like the idea of doing that mainly because, you know, that actually takes the probabilities out of the structure definition. Like if we go over to the structure type def, which is here, when you look at a fixture or an attachment, it has a set of tags and a weight, right? And this weight is the weight, effectively the probability of this attachment being chosen out of the list of possible attachments. And then the tags here are just any structure that can be placed. So like you fill it with a list of structure tags. But then the issue becomes that all of these structures are now equally weighted, right? Because there's no value to set, like, oh, I want the first thing in the tags list to be twice as likely as the second one. So if you want to do that, if you want to have that relationship, then you need 2 separate tags and 2 separate attachments, and you need to start like counting the weights together and making sure that they all match up, and that's super annoying. So I like the idea of the groups having weights intrinsically, and then the tags list just being effectively a groups list. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think that makes sense. Although I will say, I don't remember exactly what the identifier is for here. Let's take a look at Zeus path X. Creatify, or format, document. So this is a structure that's existed for a long time. Let's just collapse the nodes because it's really long. If we go look at fixtures, we have a Zeus path attachment. We have a Zeus crossroad attachment. Oh, I think this is actually just saying what structure it wants to spawn. No, that can't be right. Because Zeus path here is an identifier. Hey there, Bacon, how you doing? Okay, wait, I am going crazy. What does this actually mean? I wrote this code. I'm gonna have to dig into this real quick. So, attachments have an identifier, then a weight, then they have counters, blah, blah, blah. But Zeus path doesn't match any of these structures. So let's go look at generate. Not counter logic. Attachment.identifier, fixture.source.identifier. Oh. Okay. So, right. So, okay, that makes everything more convoluted. Because effectively what's happening here, let's go back to this path. I wish that at some point we can live in a world where people can just make free and open source software and just like get good money to live good. Yeah, UBI, let's go. I would love if UBI was a thing. It feels very unethical that it isn't. But, you know, unfortunately that's not the world we live in. Maybe one day it'll change. That would be great. I wish, but we'll see. Okay, so here is the deal. So this attachments, it has a Zeus path identifier. And what this is referring to is actually the source key of, wait, is it referring to the source key? Wait, that can't be right. So it's saying it identifies, or it connects to Zeus paths. And then the source key here is Zeus crossroad. So let's quickly look at an L structure. So this has attachments to Zeus path and its source is a Zeus path. Oh, so wait. Is it just impossible for... I think it might just be impossible for a structure... for a crossroad to connect to another crossroad. Because this source is called Zeus path, right? And then over here, this source... Nope. Source is called Zeus crossroad. So we can only connect to Zeus crossroads if there's an attachment that equals it, like this one. And Zeus crossroad doesn't have a connection to Zeus crossroad. It only connects to Zeus path. Wait. Nope, I'm blind. Okay, here we go. This is what I was missing. So it has an attachment to Zeus path, then it also has an attachment to Zeus crossroad. I don't like that at all. Okay, so... Okay. So effectively what's happening here is that I didn't know what the fuck I was doing when I wrote this code. Because this identifier is now uniquely identifying attachments. which means that we're just in a whole world of suffering, basically. So I guess what I want to do is actually just make it so that attachments have a groups list that can select anything. And then sources also have a groups list. Okay, so if we do that, then maybe we don't need identifiers for structures, because so I think the mistake I was making is that when I was mocking up this API, I was assuming that you'd specify what structures you want to place by the structure itself. Structure has an identifier, structure has tags. Wow, okay. But no, that doesn't actually make sense, because structures can have multiple sources, or no sources, or attachments, or whatever. And each source has its own identifier. So like, for example, maybe you have like a dungeon, okay? And it's got an entrance from a ladder, and it's also got an entrance from a door. And, you know, you want to say, oh, okay, I want to be able to spawn doors. And so you go, okay, I'm gonna be, so your door is tagged like dungeon door. If you have a source in your room that's got a dungeon door group, and another one that's got a dungeon ladder group, it can still find that room, but it will only ever generate on like the source that's tagged dungeon door. It doesn't matter what the tags of the structure are here. Like, it's almost entirely irrelevant. And then having an identifier becomes similarly almost meaningless, because you're never going to be keying by that identifier. You're only ever going to be, you're only ever going to be using that to maybe like look up the specific structure if you really care for some reason. So once again, we can go down to basically just this, where you have an identifier, which is used for looking up a specific structure, and then a path to the structure file. And then you can go like structure.get sources, structure.get attachments, you know, and those are for getting specific structures that match that tag. And then that means if we want to mess with the weighting of stuff, so our tag here would be like Zeus default tree. And then let's say that this structure over here is our tree. It doesn't matter what the name is. In fact, we probably don't want that to exist at all, because that'll be determined by the identifier that's out here. Unless we want it to just go all in on loading from a file, right? And then that just loads even the identifier, which we could do. That's, you know, easy enough. And we go like from file. And then so we have our fixtures array. And then its attachments, it's going to say, oh, I want to connect to Zeus path. Or maybe I want to connect with Zeus path at 2 times likelihood, and then Zeus crossroad at 1 times likelihood. And it'll randomly roll between those two. And then, when we're rolling between so we eventually choose one of these two groups. Let's say that we choose path. Then any source attachment, So like, let's see. So any source, let's say this is our source, that has a groups Zeus path. So say we rolled path at the top. We had a 66% to roll path. Now we've rolled path. And now we're choosing between two sources that have a groups property that contains Zeus path, okay? By default, this is a 50-50 shot, unless we do this. And now this one has a weighting of 5 to be selected, and this one has a weighting of 1. And now that means that we're rolling out of 6, and so you have an 84% chance of rolling this one, and a 16% chance of rolling this one. I think that works. I know that I've probably just been yammering on about this for, 20 minutes and no one's actually followed me. But I think it makes sense, I think. Let me quickly write this down. So, structure identifier is in file, and it's for lookups in Atlas. Then we have attachments, which have no identifier, attached to weighted group list. Then we have sources, which also have no identifier, and then have weighted group list of names. Okay. Your explanation was quite easy to follow? Okay, good to hear. Oh, good luck with the stream. Gonna go play some VR games. Have fun. Not even a little bit of following for me. My boy Jason got 84% somewhere in there. Okay, well, I'm glad that some people followed. That's good. Real paper. Yeah, could you hear the paper writing sound with my pencil? I don't know how, sensitive the mic is. But I've been writing a lot on paper recently because I've actually been working on a different project. I've been working on the commercial game project that I started a studio for in November, which I eventually want to do a dev stream on. I'm not sure if people would be interested in that, but I think it would be great to do that. Basically just have a development stream talking about working on that game as well. But we'll see. At some point, I'll give it a shot and we'll see what happens. But yeah, I've been drafting a lot on paper because when I work through design issues, it's really nice to have somewhere to write down stuff. And I don't know. I mean, I could grab my tablet, but it's all the way over there, and paper is right in front of me. So get a whiteboard. No, this is not an office. I also just hate the texture of whiteboards. They're just the worst thing to write on. They're good if you're, specifically wanting to collaborate with people and you have nothing better to do or, to use, but, I don't know, whiteboards just feel gross, and then you accidentally wipe the whole thing off, and it's, actually, I don't remember anything. I might be interested, or I don't remember everything. Actually, I don't remember everything. I might be interested about this. What do you mean? Are you talking about the commercial project I'm doing, or whiteboards, or I don't know which of these things you're talking about. I'm gonna start working on ruining my beautiful type definitions to get them back to what they're supposed to be. Whiteboard and a brand new vape is where Einstein did his best work. Well, I'm clearly not Einstein. Hold on, I'm gonna revert this file. No, revert. I recently bought a Muji colored pens. They're very comfortable to write ideas with. Huh. Are they whiteboard pens or? Oh no, they're Interesting. Cool. I usually use pencil because I like to be able to like scribble and then erase. Like something I'll do when I'm thinking is I will just start like drawing like back and forth, just like shading in a section of the page, and then I'll erase it when I'm done. And it's terrible, I just use up all the erasers, but it's just a process, you know? Two things at the same time. Remember the project logic. And I'd be interested about a stream on your other project. Oh, okay. Okay, so the first thing is, so the logic is that we're going to ditch identifiers on the actual structure itself, because they don't actually make sense on, like, any given structure can have multiple sources and attachments, and each source is effectively its own structure. It's got the same shape out of blocks, but its origin and parameters are different. It's effectively just its own thing. So then the sources will exist with a set of group names, and they might have weightings to control how likely they are to be selected when a group is rolled. And then the attachments will also allow you to have a list of group names that could be selected to roll from, and they can also have weightings. So for example, a path might have an attachment with a path group of weight 2 and a fountain group of weight 1, and that means that when it's rolling to put something next to the path, there's a 66% chance that it places another path from the path group, and a 33% chance that it places a fountain from the fountain group. And then once it decides what group it's going to place, it looks up all structures that have that group. So let's say there's 10 or like 2 paths with the path group, and one of them has a weighting of 5 and the other has a weighting of 1. There's a total weight of 6, so then we roll a random number between 1 and 6, and then we choose the path based on that. So there's like a 5 and 6 chance to choose the one that has a weight of 5, and a 1 and 6 chance to choose the one that has a weight of 1. And then it allows you to add new structures to the groups. It allows you to have tags that then get expanded on by mods, but it also allows you to have very specific tags that won't get expanded unless someone very particularly tries to do that. You can look up structures by their source groups. You can look up structures by their attachment groups. I think it all makes sense. Whiteboard marker spells horrible. That's interesting. Like, it's one of those things where I know it has an odor, and like, a lot of people don't like it, but I'm a weirdo. Like, I like the smell of gasoline, and I like the smell of whiteboard markers. They've got the same, like, chemical my brain cells are dying kind of scent to them, and that should be a turnoff, but I don't know, it just smells nice to me. And thank you for the hydrate. Johnny the Carrot says, "It is I, the silliest of Billies. I did my first C++ PR on a large project today." Oh, cool. What project? Heck yes. Can it have hard-coded limits like I want to have one and only one end portal in my structure? Yes, it can. Okay, so this that all ties back to the counter system, and it's probably a little hard to demonstrate now that I've ripped a bunch of stuff apart. I guess I can just undo this because I didn't do anything impactful here that actually makes sense. Let's run the code and I'll see if I can demonstrate. Ladybird. What is Ladybird? Oh, it's a browser engine. Oh, very cool. Fragmenting the ecosystem more, I see. But no, that's really neat. Okay, so as a quick demo of what the structure system can do, if I go structure generate Zeus path X, and then we wait a very long time for the chunks to update because for some reason the trees have killed the mesh speed, and I think it has to do with my connected model bits for the branches, but I need to look into it. But if we look at the structure for Zeus path X, which is our crossroads, you'll see if I format it, we have this identifier called Zeus crossroad proximity, and it is set to a value of 3, okay? And counters are effectively a thing that is stored with the structure generator for a subtree. So at any point that this structure is generated, it will set this parameter which will be visible to anything beneath it in the tree. And then if we go to like Zeus path L, our road path, and we look, it will attempt to attach to other paths, and when it does, it will mutate the crossroad proximity by reducing it by 1. And then we also have a chance to open to a crossroad, but it also requires that the crossroad proximity be equal to 0, which effectively means it's impossible for multiple crossroads to spawn directly next to each other. You can see there's like 1, 2, 3 crossroad, 1, 2, 3, 4 crossroad. The structure gen is kind of funky right now, but point being that like crossroads can only spawn in every so often. And there's also this Zeus paths identifier, which is actually really important. You can see that when I place a crossroad, the Zeus paths counter gets set to 30, and then every time we place a path, all of them have the condition that there's greater than 0 path values left in the path counter, and we subtract it by 1. If you wanted to have a structure that, for example, had an end portal that only existed once, you could set on the very origin of the structure. Well, okay, there's 2 ways to do it. You could do it like what Minecraft does, where it starts at the portal, and then everything's generated around it, and it doesn't have the option to place another portal, which is simple and easy if you have one specific end destination. But say instead you were doing something a bit more complicated, and you wanted to make a structure that has, like, an end portal and then 2 key rooms where you need to get each of the keys from there to activate the portal, and there has to be exactly 2 key rooms. Then what you can do is you can start at the end portal and set a counter called key rooms to 2. And then whenever it's generating, you can have a check for if key rooms is greater than 0, and, you know, whatever probability is rolled to make it choose this path, generate a key room and reduce the key rooms counter by 1. And then you can even make it so the structure can't generate, like it'll cancel the generation if the setup that it tried to create doesn't move key rooms' counter all the way to 0. And then that ensures, like, invariance, effectively, about your structure. Like that there will always be exactly 2 key rooms, or at least 2 if you want to make it so that, like, you know, the counter can be anywhere below 0 or whatever. I've been workshopping the system for a long time, and I think it has a really nice mixture of, like, relatively easy to understand constraints, but also a lot of emergent complexity. Look at those nodes. Yeah, shit's not really generating right now. You added EXIF orientation support as well as the image orientation CSS property. That's really cool. That's the thing where, like, JPEGs and stuff can be weirdly rotated, right? Like, they'll, you know, a phone camera will always store it as a vertical orientation image, and then the EXIF rotation will say, actually, this was taken in landscape mode. That's really weird tech, but, like, you know, it is something that's very used nowadays, and so yeah, that's really cool. It makes my brain hurt a little bit, because it's like, why can't it just rotate the bytes? Like, why can't the cameras just rotate the bytes? Like, why does EXIF rotation exist in the first place? Every time I see, like, a slow-loading website, and I watch an image load from right to left instead of top to bottom, it makes me hurt a little bit. This is a cool little, like, overhang with trees over it. That's funky. Oh no, I don't like gasoline. It's so aggressive smelling, like as if some harsh spice is hitting me in the nose. I don't know. I don't really get this harsh smell. I kind of just get this, like... How do I describe this? It's like... It smells like what you would expect the corruption in Terraria to smell like. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean. But that's my description of gasoline. That's how I perceive it. And, like, I like that, I guess? I'm sorry. Alright, cool. So if we want to... I actually feel like it smells more like the crimson. Yeah, I could see that. I mean, I don't like the crimson, though, and I do like the corruption, so that kind of fucks with my perception of it. But yes, that does make sense. Alright, hold on. I'm gonna quit that. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Hold on. Give me 1 sec. I'm going to do something that I've been thinking about doing, and then you're gonna see it. Give me 1 moment. I need to grab this from here and put it in here. And now I need to reload that, and then... Where is it? Ah, yes! Apply. Please be the right aspect ratio. It would be really sad if you weren't. Or that you just didn't update? Hello? Why is that not changing? I don't know what's happening. It's supposed to be working. Save. Oh no, it's for real. It's... I'm trying to change my wallpaper. Someone sent a meme recently, that was, like, Linux users when they spend 20 minutes trying to change their wallpaper. And it's real. I can't get it to change. Hold on. Let me give this one more shot. I'm gonna set this to just the stupid moon image. Then I'm gonna go back into Hydro Paper. I'm gonna set apply. And it didn't work. No. Wait, okay, wait, hold on. Nope, that didn't do what I wanted either. What? Okay. Set this. Please? Have I just made a terrible mistake by trying to make this work? I think I might be scrambulating all of my wallpapers right now. Ah! I have multiple monitors though, and it doesn't like... I guess just for the stream I can be simple, and I can just make the background image be tiled. If the settings app will open, what have I done? I've ruined everything. Settings. Add picture. Pictures. Cool. Select. Okay, you know what? That works. I'll figure out what was happening later. That feeling that when you can code a greedy mesher from 0 but can't get the printer to work. It's too real. Hold on. I need to also swap my earbuds because they're dying and everything's going fantastically. This is just another day with me live streaming in hell. Let's see, let me pair up this. Cool, and the music's still going through. Perfect. Alright. Alright, you can see what all my effort was. Ta-da! I have the art that Zith drew that I posted on YouTube. I really love this piece. I think it's absolutely gorgeous. He surprised me with it like a week ago, and I was really, really appreciative. It's really cool. But yeah, okay, new desktop wallpaper. Hell yeah. Okay. Bro got a bell on it neck, LMFAO, yeah? Okay, so... I'm pretty sure the old one did too. Okay, so... let's go to the type defs of the structure system. It's time to dig around types. We all love doing that. Okay, identifier and tags are disappearing, and now we're having groups, which is going to be either a identifier or string, or identifier or string number array. That's a nice, concise type def, isn't it? You're trying to detect code blocks and markdown as evil. Wait, are you trying to use regex to identify markdown? Because you're gonna have a really bad time if you do that. Okay, so we're gonna skip groups in here. Then our structure attachment is going to have identify groups in here. What else are you supposed to do? There's like AST parsers for Markdown. Like, I don't know if you're working in JavaScript or something, but Remark is very good at doing that. And if you end up using regular expressions, you're going to end up with like a ton of edge cases that you can't actually handle because... oh god, where's that meme? Parsing HTML with regex meme. Yeah! Here you go. Treat this as an educational experience. Hey there, Gun, how you doing? Alright. So... ASTs are super fun. You can basically decode code and travel and edit into it. Yeah, I mean, that's basically what they're for. I kind of hate using them, but, you know, they're very powerful for what they do, so I'm not going to complain too much. Oh, no. Okay, I guess if you're working in Godot, you might be kind of constrained. Okay, hold on, just one sec. I need to, like, think with my brain. So, structure attachments do need to have a weight property for their attachment. Because when a structure has an attachment, it needs to select which attachment it's going to try and place down. So that's fine. But then structure sources, I don't think we want a weight, because now the weight is going to be controlled by their groups. So we'll ditch that. Okay. Now, where else are we? Structure fixture, that's fine how it is. Okay, our structure base will get an identifier, and that's mainly just for querying it, you know, in the structures list, but it's not really required, so, you know, we'll go from there. The only downside of an AST is that ASTs are not enough for reconstructing the original code. Oh, like because they convert it into tokens, and then you lose, like... Oh no, the ears timer is fucked. Wait, is it not moving? Oh no! It's not been moving! Wait, no it is. It's just that I had it minimized. Okay. It's so weird that windows will render fully if they're unminimized, but also entirely obscured, but they will not update at all if they're minimized. It's like, you'd think that there would be, like, optimizations for that, like, work. Okay, I wonder if I can do that thing with VS Code where I have, like, a blurred background. I kind of hate how that looks, but, like, it would be interesting to try. I don't know. God, writing an AST in GD script? I don't know if I'd, like, curse anyone with having to write an AST. I feel like that is limited to just the types of people that want to suffer, and that's it. Okay, so... where are we at here? So, we have an identifier on a structure, then we have the fixtures and the attachments. So I think this type def is fine. So let me build it. I guess we build that, then we build that. That should build just fine. And then this should probably fail. Wait, you converted Markdown to BB code. Huh. Was that with regex or was that with an AST? I'm assuming regex. Okay, now I've broken everything. Okay. So, I need to rewrite some of this generator now, because it needs to actually support the new system that I typed, which is just great. So, let's see. I need to try and remember what I did here, because this code is a horrible spaghetti monster. So applying all the counters, it's fine. Adding the structure, displaying the bounding box. Okay. Iterate through each non-source fixture with attachments and recursively generate. So we want to find every fixture that is not the existing one and has an attachment, which we do. And then for each fixture to attach to, what a fucking name, we find structure sources that match the counters and group them by their fixture. What? So, fixture.attach2.attachment grabs any counter, or grabs any attachment that matches. That's fine. Then we map each attachment here, and then we grab its weight, and then we grab all the sources, and we go, okay, let's iterate through all of the structures and find that it has a source and that its groups includes okay, so attachment.groups is going to have a bunch of weights associated with it. Wow, okay. How the fuck do I do this? Hold on. I had to write a basic AST for a school project and it wasn't too bad, but writing one for Markdown might be a much bigger task. Yeah, Markdown has pretty complex syntax when it comes to like paragraphs and inline blocks and whatever and nested stuff. I don't know. That seems really rough. I wrote like 3 replace rejects for italic, bold, web links, inline code, code blocks, unordered list, and ordered list. Okay, well, I mean, I don't know. I guess if you are writing your own Markdown, then like you can make sure you write it in a way that's compatible with your system. But if you're writing or if you're processing user-defined Markdown, then you're gonna have a lot of issues actually making that like work properly. Because people will create Markdown that just has so many edge cases that you have to deal with. So how I do my island was just hit by a cyclone. It doesn't really hurt me compared to the others, but the cyclone broke the water supply pump and I haven't had water since 2 days. Oh my god. I hope you have like reserves or something. Not drinking water in 2 days is awful. Just redeem hydrate and you'll get water. Oof. You just need to display LLM generated stuff. Can you not ask it to just generate it in BB code? Drinking is not the issue, it's shower and toilet. Yeah. Yeah, that sucks. At least it's not immediately life-threatening. I mean, like, it's not good, but, you know. Okay, so the Stack Overflow post on HTML parsing with regex is a beautiful gem of the internet. I know, right? It's like infamous. Okay, so each attachment has a list of, so let's go, attachment, list of tags with weights. So we want to roll a weight. Thanks for sharing, yeah, no problem. Like I said, I still have a house compared to the northeast of the island. Oof. Okay, so we can't just roll a weight because we might not have any structures in, yeah, so so some choices might not have any valid structures, right? So I guess this becomes a lot more complicated. Because effectively what we need to do is we need to map... Ooh, okay, we need to... Sorry, I know I'm not, like, thinking through this very well. It's just hurting my brain a little bit. So a source is going to be a pair between a tag and a weight. And then, effectively, we want to convert the tag into a list of all attachments that match that tag and their weight. So let's go to attachments.sources, or .map, or attachment.source, or .groups.map. Okay. And we're gonna have either a group or a number. And we're just gonna do an immediately invoked function expression here. And we're gonna say array.isArray group, or G, otherwise G1. And then our IIFE is going to take in a identifier or group and then a weight. Okay, so that's going to convert G into a group and a weight. And then we need to return the group, or I guess the weight, followed by, I guess we can do this as like a record. So we'll go group, weight, and then sources. And now we need to pull all the sources that match. I'm gonna get all weird here, and I'm gonna turn this into a single, expression like that. Cool. So, geez, this constantly spamming me is getting really annoying. Okay. Now we need to iterate through all the structures. And we're going to say, okay, we want to grab all fixtures, and we want to say, I guess we want to go like const 2 weighted groups. Okay, const 2 weighted group is going to take in either a identifier or string or identifier or string comma number, and this is going to go array.isArray G otherwise G1. Then 2 weighted groups is going to take in, I guess we can just map with 2 weighted group. So that can just go here. Cool. In fact, if I want to be cleaner about this, which I kind of do because this is kind of jank, we can just do this. Yep, so now we have the group and the weight. Good. And then we want to go through all the sources. Then we're going to read through its fixtures, and we're going to go, yes, it has a source. Then we're going to go attachment dot, or I guess fix.source dot groups dot map 2 weighted group dot, okay, and we're going to go dot find or dot has or dot sum. Then we're going to grab the, oh, this doesn't have the right type def. Okay. As identifier or string number. Okay. So we're looking for something that has the same name. So G is equal to group. So that'll find all source fixtures that have a group that is equal to one of the groups in the actual attachments list, or in the fixture. Okay, and then fixture here is going to be the structure, fixture, and then the weight, which is going to, I guess, be... Okay, hold on. So we're gonna have to map... Oh my god, okay. So... So let's do this. This sucks, for the record. This is bad code. Oh, thank you for the hydrate. I'm actually out of water. Give me a sec. Gotta go all the way downstairs. Alright. I'm done. Alright. So, fixture.source definitely exists. And we definitely have a group that matches. And we want to grab the weight. Okay. So we did that. Now, we also want to map and then sort this block. Okay. So now things are a little bit different. Instead of just having a list of sources that are weighted, just like globally, we now have in sources a list of groups with their weight and sources that apply to them. Now, down here... Wait, what? Ah, okay. The fuck? Why would this be a thing? Okay, we're gonna go like that, but we're also gonna go dot filter g dot sources dot length is greater than 0. Then we're sorting this, then we're sorting that. Okay, this has become like a really high time complexity function, and a lot of it could be optimized a ton, but this is the JavaScript implementation, so we don't really care about the efficiency too much. I will care about it more when it goes into C++, but yeah. Okay, so now, when we run through the attempts, we want to find an attachment. Why do I have this as like, I think I've inlined this so many places. I don't know why I've done that. Cause like, what even is it? It's this weird thing, okay. we're gonna do something here. I don't know why I wrote some of this code like a psychopath. We're gonna go role weighted, which is going to take in a list of things. It's gonna take a T, and it's gonna take an array, which is a T array, and then it's going to take in a view, which is gonna take a T and return a number. I want to separate code blocks and other markdown so I can put code edit, Godot's funny code UI thing where there's code. So I have a div kind of where it separates it. Huh. I'm not super familiar with Godot. I haven't done a ton of stuff with that. But that's cool. Good evening, Hygarius. It is currently 1 p.m. or I guess 2 p.m. where I'm at. So I guess it's still a day for me, but you know. Hope you're doing well. Okay, so total weight is going to be that, then roll is going to be that, and then chosen end is going to be array.reduce, weight remaining chosen in, blah blah blah. Weight remaining is less than get weight, option.weight, return that. Otherwise, we're going to return that, and then we're going to return chosen int. I've got this same logic in a bunch of spots, and no, it's not good code, but what it does is it will take in a list of things that are weighted. Hold on, roll sorted weighted. Wait, actually, does it matter if they're sorted or not? Because if this is a uniformly distributed random value... No, I don't think it matters if they're sorted. Anyways, this whole blob here can be reduced just to this, attachments, v dot weight. Attachments. Cool. Ah, hold on. And then let's just say that this always happens. Yeah, I'm fine. Hope you as well. For me, it's already 11 p.m. Oh no! Time zones are crazy. That sounds like the dumbest thing to say ever, but they're so weird to me. Today, is sorting even necessary? Okay. So we have our chosen attachment, and we have our attachment, and we're gonna go, okay. I have no idea why the attachment identifier would be null. But, you know, time zones feel like time travel. They really do. I went to Hawaii a few days, a week ago, and it was so weird. Like, it's only a 2-hour difference from where I live, but it's super strange. It was super strange to just, like, you know that it was 2 hours ahead of where I was talking. Why do you need to sort by weight? I thought you can just sum all the values in rand sum and the value will tell you which interval you've chosen. See, that's what I was thinking as well, and I think you're right. I'm gonna commit. I'm deciding that you're right, and if you're not, then I will blame you later. But no, I believe you're correct. Time zone is even weirder when, with daylight savings, it makes you advance from 1 hour for 6 months. Oh, like you're only ahead every, like, half of a year? Okay, I have no idea what this even means. But it exists, so I'm just gonna not touch that. So we're gonna go const chosen group end. Group at, hold on. Where is this used? Just here. So chosen group end is here. Then we're gonna go const chosen attachment end is going to be role weighted, and this should be called group. Group dot sources v dot weight. we're gonna go const attachment is group dot sources chosen attachment in. Okay. That fixed everything except for this. Okay. What? So, okay, hold on. So attachment has all this shit. Got it. Wait. Why is this? Sources is... Am I crazy? What am I looking at? Okay, this is an array of records. What are you? Okay, hold on. For my own sanity, we're changing this to groups. Okay, so... Yeah, okay. But this... Wait, what? Okay, attachments contains a group's property. And then... So this should be called attachment. Yeah, I'm just gonna not touch these variable names because they're weirding me out. Now if we go to group.attachment.counters, yeah. That made everything happy and I don't have to think about it anymore. Let's change this to identifier. Then we're trying to get the source weights, which is going to be based on... Huh. Okay, so this is weird. Because this assumes that we can index by identifier, but that is no longer the case. Because our identifiers now no longer actually... Or I guess they work. See, this thing here is the same block of code, right? And it's meant to select from the sources just arbitrarily based on their weight, ignoring their identifier, which is scuffed. But I guess if we want to be even more scuffed, we can just go chosen fixture is equal to structure.fixtures math.floor math.random times structure.fixtures.length, or valid spawning fixtures, sorry. And that makes things ungodly and evil, but sure. And then this is upset because chosen fixture should be a number, so I guess we'll just do that. Okay, well, I don't see any errors, question mark. Let's confirm. Okay, library compiled. Will the code compile? No. Okay. What am I looking at? This is in the load structure file. Fixture.source. Structure source. I don't know what it's angry about. Okay, hold on. It's missing the properties identifier and weight. What is wrong with you? Oh, okay. So, structure fixture attachments, instead of identifier, we're going to have groups. And then we will have a... The hell am I looking at? Wait, do you always have that Copilot disabled thing in the bottom right? I think so. Like, it's there. Like, are you just asking if I have Copilot installed? I installed it back when it became free because I wanted to not pay attention at my job because I was on my way out. And then I didn't actually use it, and now it's just kind of sitting there. Wait, what? All actions are now available in the Copilot menu in the title bar. But there isn't a Copilot menu in the title bar. What? Sure, whatever. Okay, so groups is either going to be a... top right next to the Control P thing. Wait, top right next to the Control P thing? What Control P thing? I just wonder if that's a constant fixture in Visual Studio Code. No, you can uninstall the extension. My VS Code is different. Oh no. Oh well. That's fine. Okay. M dot... Okay. M dot string... M dot number. I'm getting sad code here. Huh. I don't remember how this code works. Oh, I forgot to say super cute, amazing wallpaper. Thank you, yeah. Zith made it for me. I very much recommend you go look at their art if you are interested. I really, really love what they do. I guess I'll throw their blue sky in the chat. One sec, or I'll just throw their website. It has their blue sky and stuff on it. Boop. Alright. What am I doing? Okay, hold on. Meta.ts. So, I need like... a tuple. But... it... Oh, wait, do I not have tuples as like a thing? That's a huge oversight. Oh man, okay. Oh, I don't want to dig into this type stuff. Do I have an any type? I have a JSON type. Do I just want to be super lazy and just go m.json? I can do that for now. Okay, then our source is also going to have an m.json. And it's not going to have a weight. Okay. Cool. Set fixture source. So... this needs to be tags. So I'm just going to go tags is going to be a string or null. And we're going to go const tags are going to be tags tags R is going to be tags.split by comma, and then we're going to go .map v.index of colon doesn't equal -1. If so, v.slice v.index of colon 0 v.index of colon, and then v.slice v.index of colon +1, and convert that to a number. Otherwise, we're gonna go v1. It doesn't like this. What did I break? Slice. Oh, substring, not slice. Substring. Okay. Wait, what? v.substring expected 1 to 2 arguments but got 3. I don't follow where it thinks there's 3. I have a syntax error. Where is the syntax error? So index, oh. So that's an issue. But, oh, and then this is an issue. Sometimes I can write code, I swear. Okay. So that's our tags array. And I'm just gonna say source is going to be tagsr.length. If that's the case, then we're gonna go groups is going to be a tagsr. And then weight is not gonna be specified, and all that shit is good. Okay. Now, I think that'll do that. And now when we go to set fixture attachment, we want to be able to set its weight, and then its tags, which are going to be a string. And then we're going to effectively do the same split here. And then we're going to delete the old attachment and then specify groups as tags are. Okay. I think that works. I think. Cool. This code is really, 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 really bad. Yeah. Identifier in here. Cool. Why have I done this to myself? Just let me be happy. I don't want to deal with this anymore. Just do that. Cool. It is so hot in my room. identifier in there. Identifier. Cool. I almost think this is gonna work. Keyword being almost. This could very easily completely not work. Oh. Right. Must specify required property identifier. Where is that happening? Okay. I guess let's run it in debug mode and figure out where that happened. And we'll see what goes down. Okay, pause on an exception right. Here in metadata. Okay. So somewhere we are placing down a source that does not include the right thing. Origin. Yeah. Satisfies origin meta. Okay. Identifier is going to be this. Cool. Where's our fixture? I should probably do the same thing here. Fixture meta. Cool. Let's try that again, and hopefully it loads. Okay, it didn't crash. Okay, so I just changed a bunch of stuff with the structure spec. And I want to test that the commands that I made still work. So let's go to the structure command. And I'm going to try and set some stuff. So I'm going to give myself an origin and place it. I really wish it was possible to hide the debug text. I still have no idea why that's not hideable. Maybe I should actually quickly go and figure out why the hell that's happening. So this text is it. I'm appending it to the root. Okay. This dot visibility is equal to visibility. Okay. So what the hell is F1 doing exactly? Or F3, sorry. So hey there, Gilded Seraphim, how you doing? Okay, debug menu, toggle debug menu. It removes debug root or appends debug root, where debug root is a thing here, and it's passed in to debug. Cool. So then that is weird to me, because it's doing everything it should be doing, but it's not actually going away. Huh. What if I just, for now, go into world and I don't add it to here? Alright, if we try it like that, hopefully we shouldn't see the debug text, which means we can see the real text. I don't know why it's not actually getting hidden when I press the debug button, but, you know, we can figure that out later. I just want to see if I can get these commands working. So there's no debug text. Good. There's also no world. Oh, there we go. Okay. Just took a really long time. I'm going to place a origin down, and we have the JSON in the top left, and let's go... let's just run through each of these commands real quick. So if we go back to structure, let's go structure set name test. Okay, that's at the identifier. Cool. Structure set source, and this is going to take in a tags array. Structure set source tree. Oh, okay. Hold on. Try to get typed meta on a node with different metadata schema. Where the hell does that happen? Hash is equal to hint hash. Okay, interesting. So it looks like we failed to get the metadata. Oh, wait, because that's a fixture. Okay, never mind. I genuinely did just point at the wrong thing, and I don't have any securities for that. Got it. Well, that makes my life a little easier. Okay, let's try that again. So we have the origin. Now let's try...
Try again in a few seconds.
Wait. Okay, there's no other things. Okay. So I guess I'll give myself a fixture. This is certainly code. Okay. Cool. So let's go... structure set source tree. Okay, we got an issue. Huh. Okay. Hold on. Give fixture structure set source tree. I just want to see. Wait, that worked. Huh? Set source dog. Okay, now it's working. Okay. Structure set source tree 7 grass to dirt. Okay, well that's doing what it's supposed to do, confusingly. I don't know why it crashed that first time. Maybe it just hadn't updated the mod code or something. Alright, where else are we? What's the next command? So set source worked, set initializer. And it wants an identifier, a counter set behavior, and a number value. So let's go structure set initializer dog shadow 5. Cool. Remove initializer dot. Cool. Set attachment. This is going to take in... That's the wrong argument order. I'm going to restart the game real quick to handle that. So structure set attachment is supposed to take in a weight and tags. So let's give myself an origin, or give myself a fixture. Structure set attachment, weight 5, dirt grass 5. Didn't work. I did not like reading properties of undefined, reading split, so it didn't get an argument for tags. That checks out, I think. Yeah, okay, I missed an argument. And none of this stuff is serialized yet. Or like, sanitized or anything. Okay, fixture. Structure set attachment. 0, weight 5, grass 7, dirt 5, stone. Okay, groups, grass 7, dirt 5, stone 1, weight 5. Good. Okay, I'm gonna broadly assume that counter works fine because I didn't change anything with it. Rotate. How does that work? Structure rotate? Huh. It's just the same as hitting the interact key. Weird. I don't know why I did that, but it exists. Okay, set fixture replace with should be fine. Okay, so all of that works. So that means if I give origin, and I grab my wand, let's just say I do this. Set bounds on that, and then I put a bunch of grass. Where's like a tall grass? Yeah, okay. And then I go, maybe there's a grass block on top of this. And now I go structure set name test structure save. We should now see a test.structure.json here, and let's format it. Okay, and this has an identifier size, offset placement. Cool. Let's create an attachment and test. So give fixture. Let's instead put a fixture here, put it here, and we'll go structure set source. And it doesn't take a weight. Hold on, let's confirm. So set source. Takes in just a list of parameters. Let's go test 2 2. Cool. Now we want to go structure set attachment. So we're gonna go structure set attachment 0 weight 2 parameters test 2 2 test 1. Cool. Now, structure save. Let's look at this again. So, let's see. So, we have the attachments, which has a groups property, which has these things in it. Good. And same over here. The source doesn't have a weighting, it just has its groups with weightings, which is all we want. And then the attachments does have a weighting because we're rolling for that. So now I guess this probably is going to melt my computer because I think I've created an infinite loop. Let's try structure generate test. Oh. Okay, well, it spawned here. Oh, it won't do that because the fixture is its own source. Yeah, okay. So, probably a lot of ways that this could potentially go wrong. What if I do that? Hold on. If I do that, then I go structure set name test squared structure save. Now I go structure generate test squared. Encountered an error generating the structure type error. Interesting. Okay, well, I'll have to debug that off camera, because, to be honest, I'm getting very hungry, and I want to go get some food. But I think we've made a lot of progress. Like, I've refactored the type definitions for the structures to use the group system that we want to use. We know how it's going to be implemented now, where groups with weights are the only way to index individual sources and fixtures. Which means that the structures themselves can still have unique identifiers for pulling them out of the atlas, but when it comes to generating, you can't index by identifier because you shouldn't be indexing a structure by its structure anyways, you should only be indexing it by its source. And so both sources and attachments use the groups list. Groups can have weights. Weights are in a two-tiered program for attachments where, you know, you specify an attachment and you give it a series of groups with weights, and then it rolls for which group it wants, and then it rolls for which viable source to match that group based on that weight. And then that should be expandable to the C++ code, because we'll just load all the structures into the registry, and then, you know, cache their relationships somewhere, so we're not, like, querying all the structures every time we generate, because that would be super slow. And then we'll be able to actually generate, you know, full structures. So great. Any questions before I disappear? Thank you for the hydrate, Trixon. Sorry if this one was a bit dry. I know that a lot of it was just me staring at type definitions and mumbling to myself. It's been a while since I've looked at this code base, and the structure system is programmed quite insanely, given the bulk of it was implemented in like 2 days for a self-directed study that I did last semester. So looking through it was a lot of holy shit moment for me. Yeah, I had a good time. I think that next stream I'll have a lot more of a stronger idea of what's happening, and hopefully I'll have, you know, made more progress. Staring at type definitions and mumbling is why we're all here. Fair enough. What's your favorite block so far? I really like these lilacs. I think they're really cool. They're like dense, but they also have like this very natural shape. And I like the horrible spreading behavior I've test programmed them with, because it's just fun to watch. Like, it's never not fun to see these things going, you know? Have a good one. Thank you. You too. See you next time and enjoy your meal. Thank you so much. I stream every Sunday at noon PST. If you're interested in catching the next one, so you can follow me on Twitch or subscribe on YouTube or join my Discord, which the link is on screen. I'd be happy to have you there, and then we can chat about more programming stuff. Alright guys, thank you all so much for hanging out with me. Oh, Smarty, it's terrible timing. I'm ending the stream right now. I'm sorry. Alright guys, well, with a little dose of tragedy there at the very end, have a great rest of your days, and I'll see you next week. Bye all.